Hello and welcome back. Thanks for your patience. We just were doing some technical setups and now everything is hopefully running smoothly. And the last session before we will end up in our panel discussion is now IoT use cases. This is how others walk the path of transition. And this will be brought to us by Madeleine. We met, I guess, 2 years ago, right?
I think so, yeah.
In the middle of the pandemic. And I'm really happy to be on stage now together with you, sharing a stage physically. Perfect. And I'm really looking for your insights now. Stage is yours.
Thanks for your invitation. And great for having me. So I will just start right away. So Monday morning, it's 11 a.m. and in a bread factory, and suddenly a packaging machine breaks down. Like people running around try to find the reason why the machine is standing, and that is like a huge problem because people are producing in real time in a really high frequency. And in this case, the reason to all of that is that a small component defect that leads like to a long downtime and high repair costs. And if you can imagine, people are producing in a high frequency. They have like 80 cycles a minute, which is kind of one package a second. So you can imagine how important it is that this production line stays stable all the time. And the annoying thing at all is that a small investment in like a monitoring solution, like a smart solution, where you have the opportunity that they indicate faults even before the machine fails, would have been enough, and the plant could have warned the operator. And I don't want to talk about products at all, but it's not that like complicated. You just need kind of a gateway, you just need kind of sensors to do the connectivity, and then the whole business case would work. Another example, so, and this is like one project, and this is exactly how GHD, Georg Hartmann Maschinenbau, this is a machine builder, and EGOS are leading their way to transformation. Here on the right you see Richard. Richard is an expert, and even though GHD Hartmann, the machine builder, is a real expert in what they are doing. And they saw this use case coming, and they put a small investigation in digitalization. And the solution today indicates the faults even before the failure of the machine is happening, and the system detects even though cable breaks before they occur and save the user higher downtime costs. Another example, it's Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. on the shop floor, and a failure of a paint shop is happening during a just-in-sequence production. And here, as you can imagine, you have kind of injection molding machines, you have painting machines, and everything is like delivers just in sequence directly to the assembly line. So that's the absolute worst case which could happen in this kind of production. And the reason here, for example, is that a bearing damage in the ventilation system of the paint shop was happening. And so the annoying thing at all is that even though here a small investment in kind of a diagnostic unit with condition and monitoring of the motor vibration, which you could put a sensor on the A and B segment of the gear, would have been enough to unbalance this data, and that you have the opportunity to kind of warn the maintenance team about this defect. And at all, I don't want to talk about products, but the same here. It's not that it's not that high investment to do kind of this use case. And this is a great project from Magna. So here you see Sebastian. He's our guy from a production site, and he is a real expert. He knows his production, and he has seen this use case coming. So he really knows this frequency data. They are transforming the frequency data into readable information, and they are using these manual measurements into or to do anomaly detection. And since this system has set up, no failure has been recorded, and that's at all you want to have, so that you know when this downtime is occurring. And all in all, the maintenance staff of Sebastian is really more efficient because the maintenance team is working on the base of data and not more in, for example, Excel sheets or like other manual documentations. So that's another example from this side. Maybe to have a third one from more critical infrastructure side, it's Saturday morning at 7, like nearly 8 a.m. And there's a call to the service team that there's a failure of an old pump in a wastewater like treatment plant. And if you can imagine, we are here in a highly critical infrastructure. We have a plant including, for example, pumps which are like moving wastewater around. I mean, we all want to have clear water in the end. So it's a really high critical infrastructure. And we have different other machines like compressors and blowers, which are right now causing like around 60 to 70% of the energy consumption. And here, the reason of the service team, they don't know at the moment because the customer is calling and say, okay, there's a failure happening, for example, a pump is defect, but what's the reason at all? What does the service team need for equipment? What kind of hardware you need to set up this failure? So they send the service team there, and what they find out is like they do a documentation that is a corrosion of the component in the upstreaming processes of this of this pump. So, and in the end, the annoying thing at all, like same story, there's a small investment you could have taken before with an early kind of a warning system for failure prediction, would have been kind of allocate the damage to the engine. And on top, it would have been possible that all the details could have been sent digitally to a technical manager. And even though kind of digital data like fault logs and maintenance history, you need to solve this problem. And also this use case was seen by Stadtwerke Bad Pyrmont. So it's Bad Pyrmont is a wastewater treatment area and system, and Ärzten Digital System. This is their IoT partner. And this is how they are leading their way to transformation today. And on top, they are now able to offer kind of data-driven services and to work with these services, even not for machine and equipment customers, but also work with cooperation partners like insurance companies. In this case, it's VGH, it's an insurance group from Hanover. They have the possibility to work together here. And that's really interesting. The movement you see now, what is possible to work with data and to work and to kind of enable new business models, even though with new cooperation partner could be an insurance company, could be a finance company. That's like of the data you could work on. And that's a really like great project. And now the end of all, and I would like to ask you the question, so how are you leading your way to digitalization today? So do you know all your use cases? And when you know them, and do you think you know them all? Because we have like many hundreds, thousands of use cases out there, which could be possible to even though enable your business and reduce costs or even find new business for your company. And that's exactly what we do. So we, first of all, you see that on the left side, we raise the awareness of new solutions and opportunities because there are so many great solutions on the market you really can learn from. And everybody's talking about IoT, but what does it mean exactly? I mean, we heard from Scheffler before, from Matthias Hafner, great projects. That's a really great thing to really talk about concrete use cases, to talk about concrete projects you can learn from. And of course, Scheffler is a pioneer of this digital vision. But this is the first thing we want to do to raise the awareness of solutions and opportunity. This is what we do on our platform. This is what we do on different online channels where we talk about these different technologies and use cases. And we want to show use cases you haven't thought of yet. I mean, maybe you know your use cases now, but do you really know all of them? So we want to really show use cases you haven't thought of yet and show projects with solutions from pioneers like, for example, Scheffler is one of them. And then the next step is, I mean, showing them is the one side, and then really talk about it is the other side. So we really want to give the opportunity to share experiences and even initiatives, so best practices. How do you do that? How do you solve that problem? So this is something where end customers have the opportunity to talk about their use cases, and this is something we're doing through the ecosystem. And you see on the lower side, so on the one hand side, we show use cases you haven't thought of yet, and on the other hand side, we really want to identify kind of your opportunity areas you have today, and maybe you haven't thought of yet. And then on the other hand side, even to implement yours better, because they are kind of technical solutions which work better in different scenarios. So you really have to not start by zero. You could set up on learning curves others have taken. And what we do now is we have seen, I mean, I showed some of these use cases. We have hundreds of them today. You see these different use cases, and what we do is like we structure them on the market. It doesn't matter if you're from, for example, coming from an automotive industry or if you're coming from mechanical engineering. We have different use cases there, and there is the knowledge in the industry which you could make use of. And I don't want to go into any details now, but you could, if you like, check our website, that's iotusecase.com. You see different use cases. I guess we have 350 now, and over 1,600 projects you could learn from today. So maybe that's a very important view for me, because on the left-hand side, you see the ecosystem of different end customers. And you see different companies like Saint-Gobain, Schmitz Cargobull, Ziel Abeck, even bigger ones like AB InBev or Magna, what I just showed, or even Schaeffler. So these are companies who are really experts in their different processes and which have now the opportunity to kind of get better, see opportunities maybe that have been solved or have occurred in an ecosystem which is already there. So that's our ecosystem where you could kind of exchange experiences, talk about the application and the practice, and see what are other companies doing today in this area. So this is like the one hand side, and then on the other hand side, of course, you need an ecosystem, and this is what we kind of learned today, that we need ecosystem partners from different areas because you can't do it alone. I mean, bigger companies maybe can, but you always need different areas, like, for example, sensors, modules, gateway. You need platforms, you need integration partners, different areas. And I mean, this is kind of the reason we are all here today, because it's an kind of a partnering you are going through. And even though Harting, for example, Microsoft and Schaeffler are going this way to partner together to find go-to-market strategies and see how they could help customers to be even more better in their processes. Yeah, and what I just mentioned is the platform itself. So we have different projects and use cases because you really don't have to start by zero. You could learn from different other companies. It doesn't matter if you want to do sustainability use cases or after-sales use cases or energy management use cases, or even though when you say, okay, I want to enable my product, which is today, to use more data out of my product and do more kind of business development and see what is the possibility with IoT today. So, and this is why we all need partners, and maybe the conclusion of all is it doesn't matter what you want to do now, there is an ecosystem which could help, and where you have the opportunity to talk with different partners. And I'm really happy to, even though talk with you about your use cases, so I'm really happy to learn what are your use cases. If you like, we could just meet up, but also you could have the possibility to talk with other partners of our ecosystem, how they are going their way to digitalization today. And I don't want to go into more details, I guess now. That's so far from my side, and the next step today is that we will be on stage with Schaeffler, Harting, and Microsoft, and to talk about how they enable their partnership and to give best practices, how that's going to be. And this is exactly what we hand over to now, I guess.
Yeah, you are not expecting me here, right? So
No.
that was not part of the plan. But they are now bringing in the shares for the panel. But we received a question.
Oh, yes.
Because you are talking about small investments. And they would like to know what you think about small. And is it really small?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's all about the business case. I mean, when you know your processes and you know the business case, then it's just the question how much you are investing and how much you're getting in the end. So I guess the way is to really learn more about your process, to know the business case behind, and then we don't talk about investment, we talk about the business case in the end. But I guess when you want to learn more details, we could follow up on this.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now I'm leaving again. The guests are joining. Take your seat.
All right.
And I'm looking forward.